How can one imagine anything more magnificent than a dragon, the paragon of all creation? To have is nothing. To keep is all. These words were not known to me until long after I hatched, but deep within my molten heart, I could understand it, feel it. A deep-seated truth in my own being, like hunger or thirst. It was a purest truth. From the first moments I opened my eyes, I was greeted with the most wonderful of sights. The shining hue of gold. My mother's hoard piled so high I had to climb for an hour to reach the top. A mountain of wealth that made my wings tremble with desire and my claws flex in anticipation. I knew then that I wanted it. I was never fool enough to challenge my mother, for she was centuries older and many orders of magnitude larger than I was at the time. Still, the voracious desire for gold gleamed in my eyes, a showing not unnoticed by my siblings. In a flurry of bright red scales, we hissed, snapped, and belched embers at one another, trying to carve out a piece of our mother's lair for our own. Red dragons are not known for being devoted parents. Our mother taught us the basics of hunting, flying, and ejecting our terrible fire breath. Before she set us into the wild, many dozens of miles from her lair, to fend for ourselves, she taught us one final lesson. The most important lesson of any red dragon's life. The strongest are destined for great wealth, power, and freedom to do as they please. The weak, by contrast, are destined only to die at the hands of the strong. To prove her point, immense jaws clamped down on one of my siblings. In an instant, he was nothing more than a bloody streak running down our mother's neck as she flew off into the distance. Even from such a young age and small size, I knew that my rightful place was at the top of the food chain. No creature, be they beast, humanoid, or fellow dragon, deserved to stand above me. I would become a member of the strong. I would thrive. I would have all the meat and treasure and territory that I desired, and all that would stand in my way would meet death by claw and fang and fire. My first step on this road was a human hunter. He spied me easily. Bright red scales stand out against the woody mountainside. He thought me easy prey, and I could tell the greed gleaming in his eyes. Even young dragon scales are valuable. I ended his preconceptions by ripping out his throat. As I feasted on my first true kill, I sensed something on him. A locket made of gold, clutched in the dead man's left hand. "If you wanted to keep this," I hissed, "you should have been stronger. Don't worry though, whoever you were. It will never trade hands again." Decades passed. I was now a young dragon, the size of a large draft horse. My scales had grown more lustrous, a ruby red, and my horns were coming in nicely. I had traveled from Baldur's Gate to Elturel, trying to find the perfect territory. Then I spied them, the southern Sunset Mountains. From those high hills, I could survey the Sea of Fallen Stars to the east, and the southern half of the Sword Coast to the west. But I was not the only creature that thought these mountains a perfect territory. The thing that attacked me was big, bigger than I, with long, spindly arms that held immense strength, and a huge, bulbous nose. It looked at me, not with fear or reverence, as any creature in its right mind should, but with hunger. Few creatures are a match for a troll. The foul brute regenerated from every single bite and slash I inflicted on it, and I could feel my own blood leaking from the wounds it gave me. Its long, gnarled hand grasped me by the tail and dangled me like a sausage on some butcher's hook over its gaping, drooling mouth. Humanoids may feel despair, or a strange sense of peace wash over them when so close to death. But I only felt rage. Who did this slack-jawed monster think he was to devour me? Me! Cafetax the Red! Even through my rage, I could see an opening. I unleashed all my hatred and frustration as a torrent of flames directly down the troll's throat. The half-wit monster released me, clasping its melting throat, trying desperately to see through vacant, steaming eye sockets. I knew one day I may have to face a troll, and fire is a troll's bane. How unfortunate, for a red dragon like myself is as close to fire as any salamander or flame elemental. Even still, I was not strong enough to destroy it in one breath. The troll's healing was stunted by the fire. What flesh that would regenerate began to bond together in its throat like cooling metal. Now blinded and suffocating, I vented my fury on the beast, overwhelming its legendary ability to refute death with fang and fire. The troll's flesh had to be cooked well done. It was bitter and tough. I followed the troll's meandering footprints to a nearby cave. This place was far afield from most major settlements, and I could see clearly all the way to Elturel. This would be my lair for centuries to come. I grew larger and larger and larger still, my head towering 20 feet above the earth. From nose to tail, I was easily 30, perhaps 40 feet long. My teeth were like scimitars, my claws like spears, my wings were battering hammers, and my tail a gate-shattering ram. The red of my scales became so lustrous and dazzling, they were difficult to look at in direct light. Such compliments are often showered upon me by servants. These hills held more than trolls. Orcs, goblins, and creatures of the like flocked to the area, giving me offerings as an appeasement in the hopes that I would not devour them and destroy their own wretched little hovels. I'd been here so long now that the very earth itself quakes in fear in my presence for miles in every direction. My treasure hoard has grown fat with the wealth pillaged by these creatures on my behalf, and my own raiding of caravans coming from the Sea of Stars to Elturel. It gleams with magical treasures taken from the bodies of elves of the Reaching Wood, and drow of the Darkhold that sought to slay me. But it's not enough. I tire of these scavenged trinkets. I tire of bitter goblin and orc meat. That is when the gleaming golden locket, wrapped tightly around my horn, caught a beam of sunlight. My eyes go wide. Of course, the humans. They gather treasures from men, elves, and dwarves from the Sea of Stars to Baldur's Gate, and the delicate flesh of humans, the richness of elves, so much better than goblin meat. Just the thought of it makes my mouth water. I scoop up and devour 2 shrieking goblins just to stop the drooling sizzling against my skin. The largest city nearest my lair is Elturel. It is a holy place, rich with all kinds of blessed trinkets and tributed gold to the many temples there. However, it is also home to the infamous Hell Riders, and it attracts all kinds of paladins, clerics, and other potentially dangerous individuals. I sink my enormous form into the hot lava of my caldera. Its soothing heat helps me ruminate on the best course of action. I let out a low growl, smoke escaping my nostrils as the scent of something unfamiliar enters my lair. I slowly open my ruby eyes and behold a hooded, robed figure that stinks of human flesh. I charge, roaring fury at the intruder, carrying with me a torrent of molten lava. My claws rake and wings batter against an invisible barrier. The figure remains unharmed. My nostrils flare with the distinct scent of magic. I bound backwards and begin to weave my own spell of disruption. Why have you come here, wizard? Why intrude upon the home of Cavitax, Elf's Bane, Troll Eater? This will be your death. Speak before I end your pathetic barrier and my breath turns you to ashes. My words bellow out so loudly that they are barely audible. He speaks softly, his old voice carried by some spell to my ears. He tells me his name, of his journey and the great many things he has heard of me. He showers me with compliments. Cavitax the Red, the flame drake that burned away and devoured the horde of trolls living in the southern Sunset Mountains. The bane of wood elf hunters and drow elf assassins alike. The sunset worm that raids caravans as they stop to make camp on their way to Elturel. I know exactly what he's doing. No doubt trying to lower my defenses, or coax me into a deal of some kind. But before I can complete my spell to end the wizard's barrier, he mentions something that catches my full attention. Alatrex Tearfall, a blue dragon, a neighbor of mine that I am well aware of, but had no desire to move on. I knew my horde and reputation were greater twice over, but not so, if the wizard is to be believed. He spun me a tale of how Alatrex has given itself the name Tearfall for destroying a fortress occupied by paladins of Tyr near Elturel, and taken the fortress for its second lair. The fort was full of weapons, armor, blessed relics, and objects of power for the Order of Paladins, making this blue creature now the most feared and richest dragon in the region. As those words fall from the wizard's lips, my rage burns so hot, the lava-filled caldera seems cold by comparison. One of these lesser, impure worms dares to enter my territory, hunt my prey, claim my treasure. I no longer even hear the wizard's pleas for an alliance against Alatrex Tearfall. My reply came in fire. The ground quaked, and the skies darkened with the setting sun, my shadow causing creatures all to take shelter and scatter like the insects they are. Each village I see, I make sure to bathe in roaring flames, letting the screaming survivors hear me as I bellow my will. I am Cavitax, Elf's Bane, Troll Eater, and you shall all witness what a true dragon is! I do not stop this rampage for miles and miles, until finally arriving at the fortress of Tierhold. I land on a crumbling tower, and bellow out my challenge. Alatrex, usurper! I have tolerated your presence in my territory for too long. Face me, you wretch! The ground trembles, and I am thrown off my perch by a blast of lightning from underground, grazing my side. Blue dragons, always burrowing beneath the ground like moles. Alatrex shakes off the dust and stands tall and proud. Attacking me in my own home, Cafetax? I did not think you were this foolish. Your time is done, Fireworm. These mountains and their riches belong to me. This is your one chance to surrender. It belongs to those who take it. Your treasure, your lairs, whatever servants you have. I will have them all for your intrusion. But for this, I gesture to the burn mark from her lightning breath. I will take your life! No more words spoken. From her deepest burrows to the highest skies, we tear into each other. Flashes of blue and red. A titanic clash of slashing claws, battering wings, and vicious jaws. Enormous shadows in the clouds illuminated by blasts of lightning and gouts of roaring flame. Alatrex is strong, but not strong enough. Her siege of the Paladin's fortress came at a cost, no doubt, and the broken shaft of a ballista bolt sticking out from just beneath her ribs proves me right. I strike and jam one claw into the still fresh wound, driving the tip of the ballista bolt deeper beneath her ribs. She bellows in pain, jaws seeking my neck. The streets of Elturel below are disrupted by a huge figure crashing into the ground like a comet. Marble, wood, and cobblestone scatter in all directions. Buildings fall and statues crumble. Alatrex tries to raise her bloody head, but my ruby-red claws slam it back down into the dirt. My immense wings unfurl, clearing the dust for all to witness me, as I bellow out my victory. Bells and alarms sound out. Humanoids begin to gather. This is my moment. My renown will reach as far as Chult with this final strike. Witness this, people of Elturel. The one you call Tearsfall has been slain by my claws. Let this whole city and all who enter it know that it belongs to Cafetax, Troll Eater, Elfsbane, and Stormbreaker. I climb further atop the body of the blue dragon to emphasize my new title. This is no gift. This is a reminder of what happens to any creature who would seek to take what is mine. Show your gratitude, Elturel. I will return in 10 years' time on the summer solstice. You will then offer to me one young maiden, pure of heart and body, along with 3 horse and carts filled with treasure. Fail to appease me, and I will bury you with the blue worm. Any who attempt to fight or flee shall have their homes and fields reduced to ashes. 10 years, Elturel. You will submit, or you will burn. I take flight back to my lair, smiling. Soon, every red dragon, from the sea of stars to the frozen north, will know my name. They will know of Cafetax, the Conqueror of Elturel. My horde, my strength, my power, my reputation all grow, as is my rightful place, as the pinnacle of all dragonkind.
Thank you so much for watching, you guys. We finally did it. We have covered all 5 chromatic dragons. I hope you guys enjoyed them. I had a ton of fun making them, and I hope they inspired you to write your own characters and adventures centered around these awesome magical creatures. I love dragons so much, they're so cool. I also wanted to take a moment to thank you for all your support. It has been amazing. I know I mentioned it in the past, I had something special planned for my 10,000 subscriber landmark, and well, I figured you guys deserve to at least know what I have in store, so here it is. I am currently working on a PDF which contains the ancient chromatic dragons from my videos. It contains full stat blocks, general physical and combat descriptions of each monster, as well as where they make their lairs, what they have in their hordes, and plot hooks for adventures surrounding them. Terrorize your party as Galgatrox, Menace of the Marsh, a black dragon that has learned to sneak attack like a rogue. Confuse your players as Buteria Druid's Bane, a green dragon that has mastered illusion magic. Or overwhelm your party with the raw fury and might of Cafetax the Sunset Worm, a red dragon that has managed to defeat the city of Elturel itself. If we can get the channel to 10,000 subscribers, I will release this PDF for absolutely free. Yes, 100% free. Just download and enjoy. A special thanks to all my patrons who keep the channel going. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, then consider becoming a patron yourself. You'll get early ad-free access to all my videos. Also, leave a like, hit subscribe, leave a comment, anything to appease the giant red dragon that is the YouTube algorithm, and because I really like hearing from you guys. It's a lot of fun to see what you have to say. But yeah, that's all I have. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers!